Hi, and congratulations on making it and beginning week 6, teaching prophecy. Now, over the last few weeks, and actually, before we get into that, happy Easter. I hope each of you had a really blessed day and were able to be with family, friends, and our church communities yesterday on Easter Sunday. I'm filming this on Monday in Antigua, and Antigua actually has a Monday Easter holiday as well, called Easter Monday or Second Easter, with the idea that we are with our church communities over the day of Easter, and then we are with our family and friend communities on Easter Monday. And Antigua actually has a kite festival that I went to this morning, and I'm recording this in the afternoon. You guys will be able to have access to it tonight. But this week we're talking about teaching prophecy. We're staying in Habakkuk. So really what we're doing as we work through, we're taking the book of Habakkuk, we're looking at the same passage or a couple of different passages in differing ways over our weeks. You'll also notice that Russ Meek is our course creator, and week 5 wasn't worded very well on the assignment. I'm taking that into account as I'm doing the grading. It talked about the outlines that you're actually doing this week in week 6, but mentioned them cryptically in an assignment in week 5. And what I was looking for was just a general expanded outline of Habakkuk as it applies to the 3 terms you were looking for. But I'll talk about that in the video that you'll see tomorrow a bit more. However, as we jump into week 6, our goals are to apply Habakkuk 1 verse 2 through 2 verse 1 for a contemporary audience in a ministry context. So we're going to be diving more deeply into the same passage you looked at last week. You're going to draft a teaching or preaching outline for a prophetic text, and this is the one you're going to use. And then finally, you're going to explain how your passage contains a New Testament redemptive message. So in talking about week 5, it mentioned outlines, and you actually in week 5 had some videos on different outlines. If I didn't check to make sure they're reposted in week 6, but if they're not, go back to week 5. And in one document, you're to submit 3 different outlines: a descriptive outline, a theological outline, and a homiletical outline, to ensure this outline incorporates a redemptive Christian message in your homiletical outline. Beneath each of the outlines, provide a paragraph that explains or justifies your outline structure. So I'm looking for, you could include it with your outline, or you could do it below, a more extended or expanded. How did you make your breaks? Why did you make your breaks? Why did you pick various descriptive, theological, or homiletical themes? What justification and support do you have for that? And then be sure to add a conclusion explaining what you learned on the assignment and adding some personal reflection. So that's for assignment 6.1. For assignment 6.2, you're going to take it one step further on your homiletical outline, looking at Christian redemption in Habakkuk. And so in a 3-page paper, I want you to summarize the redemptive message in Habakkuk 12 through Habakkuk 2:1, and looking specifically at Christians today. So what is the redemptive message, and how does that redemptive message impact Christians today? Use the categories and methods taught by Chapel, and specifically explain how you will let the original Old Testament text speak while also pointing to New Testament truths fulfilled in it. Now, Dr. Meek, when he put this together, gave you some additional guidelines that I'll use while I'm grading. First, draw your theological outline to state the theological message in Habakkuk 12 to 2:1 in a single sentence. So you want to, in that first paragraph, give me a thesis statement that is your theological statement. This is your theological position. Then answer the question, how is this position redemptive? How has Christ ultimately fulfilled or exemplified this position, and where else do we see it in New Testament teaching? Then identify 3 needs in your local church that this theological truth can address, especially in light of Christ's person and work. Give 3 corresponding action items for yourself as a lay or professional ministry worker. So you've got 3 applications for the church, and again, 3 action items for you. And Dr. Meek goes on to say, note your application must be laser focused and concrete. It cannot be generic and abstract, such as I need to pray more. Examples of a concrete specific application are I will go to the parking lot of an abortion clinic once a month and pray for the mothers entering, or I will encourage the inclusion of the elderly at our church by visiting 2 shut-ins a month. So he's looking, or I'll be grading, looking for 3 specifics that you would use as takeaways for your church and 3 specific takeaways for yourself. And that's all part of your paper. Now, we also have a discussion group. Chapel writes, we must reject redemptive sermons that deny the validity of biblical instructions, disciplines, or examples provided in passages with no obvious redemptive theme. Second, we need to dispense with attempts to make Jesus magically, figuratively, or allegorically appear in every biblical account by insisting that a text somehow refers to the incarnate Christ even where there is no evidence within the text. Both arise from an errant view of Scripture that does not properly perceive the organic nature of the entire biblical record, and that's on page 259. So you're to consider the text that you are preparing to teach this week. Where can these 2 pitfalls be observed? So in Habakkuk, where can these pitfalls be observed? In a discussion board post, describe how you are finding redemption in your text with specific attention to how you will avoid each of these pitfalls. Use your 2 replies to peers to challenge and or sharpen one another's redemptive focus for the text. So we have 2 papers, well, 1 paper that's kind of an expanded 3 different outlines, 1 paper that has content and then applications, 3 for the church, 3 for you, and then finally a discussion post that takes the same passage and looks at it a little bit differently by describing how you find redemption in your text with specific attention to how you will avoid each of these 2 pitfalls. So I think the key to this discussion post is historical context. Are you looking at the passage as it was intended to be viewed historically, and not jumping immediately to the New Testament view of these passages? So last minute or last thoughts, email or call me with questions. Again, I hope you had a great Easter, and we're on to week 6. Talk to you soon.